This is a book review of The History of Girls Comics, Susan Brewer. This is a work of labour of love, and it's just beautiful. It's about 200 odd pages, some colour, some black and white, lots of text, lots of details, lots of reference details, and it's brilliant. It's penandsword.co.uk, 2010. Just going to quickly run through it. And it starts initially with, of course, early introduction, all the various comics, obviously pre-war, etc., the war times. Also after the war, all the changes to comics, the 70s. Now this book breaks it down into things like Golden Age, Silver Age. I'm not really into that sort of stuff. Never been defining by a decade maybe, but Golden Age, what does that mean? Anyway, you've got the kids' comics, the really young kids. And I think for me, obviously the stories are a bit, for me, not, but I read them when I was younger and they were enjoyable, I'm certain, can't recall. And it covers lots of these things, obviously candy, buttons. Some of these comics were out for not very long. Some lasted a long time. Some are very collectible now. And you go, but for me, it's always the art. And the best place to find, if you want to look for copies of any of these comics that I mentioned in here, is, I think, either online, of course, or 30th Century Comics. That's a shop in Putney. And that is just an amazing shop with millions and millions of comics. And you probably can find examples of virtually all of these. It shows lots of different examples in here as well. Magic, now that one's a lovely one. Spaceship Lollipop. Sounds a really weird title, but it's actually quite beautifully drawn and really deserves a collection. If anyone like Rebellion or someone, they bring out lots of collections, it would be lovely if they brought out a collection of that, because that is just some surreal, unusual art. Anyway, you've got Twinkle, Robin, and of course they were equally boys, equally girls. I don't know how the order. I'm certain some boys grew up when they were 4 or 5 reading Commando, probably. I don't know. But sometimes I'm certain they read Robin. Then we're into, obviously, the early comics. These ones are quite a while back, like Swift. But you've got Bunty, you've got girl comics, and you can find copies. And then they're of their time, is the best way. But again, the artwork, it says, was a classy comic. Girl was a classy comic. And it was. I've got copies of it, and it is pretty good. June's School Friend. Princess Tina, I loved Princess Tina. Got a few copies of it, not as many as I would like. Bunty, Blue Jeans, and it's generally alphabetical, does jump back a bit. They're sometimes slightly out of order in places. But Bunty, again, Diana. Now, there's lots of brilliant ones like Misty. Misty comic, of course, sort of, actually were pretty, well, actually quite a lot of these girls' comics, like Jinty. I mean, some of the Victorian melodramas and things in Tammy and Jinty and whatever, Emma. It was quite amazing stuff, really. But the artwork to me is always the thing. Spellbound, beautiful. They had a great section, Super Cats. Now, a lot of these obviously were drawn by Spanish artists who I really, really admire. So it's just great to get examples of those. Now, you've got Tammy, and it's ensured their heroines underwent many hardships and cruelties, and they definitely do. Lots, of course. This one, 7 pence. 3 pence in newfangled decimal monies, it says. Tammy. Some of the stories were quite amazing. And the school ones as well, pretty brutal. Like, put you completely off going to school, I would have thought. Maybe not. But favourite characters. Now these are the characters. Now, Bratz, Bella the Bull, Bingo, Beryl the Peril, I should say, from Topper. And they've got lots of pictures and examples. You've got the four Marys, Lorna Drake. And again, this is the sort of stuff that would be wonderful to have collections. And hopefully, at some point, someone like Rebellion will be bringing out these vast numbers of collections of these series. Now, maybe not every example, because some of these comics, they're every week. So like you had like 52 copies for a year, you might have 600 stories for some of these people. You know, it's there's an awful lot of story. So I don't expect every single story to be full. It's like Billy Boots recently. It doesn't have everything. I think it's a good book from Rebellion, but doesn't have every single story, unfortunately. And that would be hard. Teens Go Pop, so you've got these lovely, and even better, the artwork. And it mentions all about these. Got adverts. What's it? Adverts ones. Boyfriend, Cherie. Some of these are beautiful. Now, I've picked up quite a few copies of these sort of magazines at comic conventions as well. And Marilyn, Romeo. Romeo, the artwork in that is just superb. Roxy, Marilyn. These were more in sort of 50s, 60s, early 60s. Mirabelle, Boyfriend, etc. Sometimes they're like free gifts. So you've got like Serenade. You've got Cliff Richard's Personal Message to You. And then things change, of course, and you've got lots of these. A lot of these things I have no idea what these. So it's really nice that she's writing about these. The teddy bear collection, porcelain dolls, The Wonderful World of Cindy, and lots of examples of that. And also, of course, all the various toys and things, and also clubs. So you could join a club. Bunty Club, Our Judy Club, the Super Cats Club. Brilliant. Problems pages as well. So you've just got, this book really covers everything about comics. You just got lots. And also here with annuals, going into annuals. Of course, there was also the summer specials. I loved the summer specials. And also it's got a section here, buy in, don't forget. British Girls comics are collectible too. Modern Girls comics, also just long lists of, and it's just an absolute gem of a book. This is just, now I think all comics are just amazing. I mean, I love comics from France, Germany, wherever. And sometimes, in a way, you have a tendency, well, I certainly did for a long time, to overlook the things that we actually create here. I love American comics. I love what's Japanese comics. But then you look and think, oh, dismissive of Britain. And yet it's very unfair because we produce awesome amounts of really first-rate comics. And many of them, sadly, have been lost in, dumped in the cellars, got water damage, just eaten by things, or just thrown out, or given to jumble sales, left in the rain. And so it might have been thousands, millions of copies of these produced, and lots of them are gone now. Maybe in lofts, who knows? Maybe they can all be recovered. But this sort of book is just a lovely source of information. I must admit, thoroughly enjoyable read. Totally recommended.